Thank you, Bob. That was awesome. You know, Reverend Sunshine is up in Asilomar, and she plays a very incredible role there. She's the stage manager. So for all those days, she's doing all the behind the scenes stuff, finding people, getting the AV hooked up. She does a fabulous job, which is why she's always asked to get back. And she gets paid for it. At least I think she does. Let's just know that her checking account is filling up. So she's sorely missed. It is my joy to be here. Reverend Lori, our youth and family minister here at Seaside, which is relatively new to me. Since I didn't have kids, now I have 20 every week. But I can also give them back to their parents. So that's kind of nice too, isn't it? So the title of my talk is The Beauty of Connection. And I have had this idea of connection on my radar for a while. I've had it because it's such a curious thing, connection between people. You know how the person who has connections, to get a wristwatch or something. So I wanted to just look at that. I wanted to look at how beautiful connections are and what it takes to actually make them and to keep them. So one of the things that when I was the membership person here at Seaside, one of the things that I always talk to people about why they were joining our community or why they were looking and interested to join a community. And most of them said, I just want to connect with people. I just want to connect with people. A lot of times it was people of like mind. And other folks, it was just they needed to connect. We have a lot of entrepreneurs at Seaside. And we have a lot of people who are retired. So they are at home by themselves all day. So on the weekends, they come and they get to connect with people. And here at Seaside, we think of giving folks like that opportunities to join committees and to get involved. I did some serious research on this connecting. I just want you to appreciate that. I went straight to the internet and I found some information from Dr. Richard Kresher. And he said that there is a human need to connect. It's something that's ingrained in us. So it's not new, and we know that it's not new. But one of the reasons that he lists, did I mention it was on the internet? So it's factual. Nothing but facts. Is we thrived. And more people, some people more than most, but when we have a connection with other people, we thrive. What do we get? We get ideas, we get feedback. There's this synergy that goes on with friendships and in your love relationships and your family. So one of the things, this human need for connection is because we need that to thrive. The other thing was to build up a support system. Now, I hope that Seaside does that well because we have our congregant care and we have people, we have small sacred circle groups. It's a way, our groups are a way to connect, and that's particularly why we created them, as well as the fact that it matched the data that was found where? On the internet, exactly. And the other thing was that we reach out to create connections with people because we don't want to be lonely. And isn't that the case? Please don't raise your hand if you're lonely. I have certainly experienced that. I think we all have. I think we all have at some point in time. But the one time that I experienced loneliness was when I was living in the Ukraine for 4 months, and I had gone over there to support our Science of Mind chapter there. And I was doing some teaching, and I went to a conference there. But no one spoke English. And it was a very small town outside of Kiev. And I was living in a very small flat all by myself. And I hadn't experienced that lonely. I've chosen to have downtime, but it was tough. It was tough. And I eventually had 2 people in the market that they wouldn't talk to me, but they would wave at me. I'd walk every day. And then the people in the grocery store, the security guards, they followed me around every time I was in there, and they didn't really say anything. So I'm just asking you to get in touch with the time that you might have been lonely and experienced that. It might have been last week when you wanted somebody to go to the movies with, and it might have been a little bit more dramatic like mine was. And if you don't think that people want and need to connect, and I know no one's raising their hand, but look at Facebook. Facebook is a network of people, especially our young folks, myself included, that are using Facebook and getting information out and communicating. Because it's fun, and it's fun to know what people are doing. It's just fun. I see 2 heads nodding. I will take it. So in order to really step up and connect with others and desire to have more of a connection with others, we really have to know that we are all one. We are all one, and there is no duality. There is no good and evil. We are all completely one. Each of us are unique, divine expressions of God. We each have our own skills and abilities that we have been brought here to give, and yet we are all one because we all have that same God stuff within us. So I have a technique, and this is kind of a bonus technique that I put together for you. No charge. There have been times, well, first of all, I call it the just like me technique. Okay, so say that with me. Just like me, and again, just like me. Because what I found is when I sometimes started to get agitated, or I started to have a little bit of judgment about something. Inevitably, it was something that I had done myself. For example, I was in the CVS lot looking for a parking place, and I saw a woman who was using 2 parking places. Have you never seen that? And I said, oh, 2 parking places. Getting a little maybe snitty, maybe a little judgmental, or not knowing what her story was. But I stop and I say, just like me. Within the week, I was here teaching at night. The next morning when I was at home, I live in Mission Valley, so it's a drive, and that morning there was a note on my windshield wiper. Thank you. And I opened the note. I thought it possibly was a treatment or something for me. The optimist. And it said, people who park like you should ride the bus. That was here. And so I just had to laugh. So whatever it is, that person is, in metaphysics, we don't complain, we're not negative, but we get edgy. How's that? Let's go with edgy. And we say, well, they're doing this, and it's just like me. We are all one. And doesn't it make it easier to know that at the core of our being, so that we can connect, so that we know that it is safe to reach out and connect with people? Sometimes, if we're not connecting with people, one of the things that we do is that we put barriers up. Because remember that saying, if they only knew me, they wouldn't really like me? Well, that was in 10th grade. Some people, I have certainly had counseling clients who still have that type of thinking. That if someone really got to know me, but when you realize that we are all one, we all have warts, except for you. We all have warts. We all have things. We all have secrets. And sometimes we hide behind them. Let me correct that. Sometimes I hide behind that. Who left? For the longest time, and I have certainly shared this, but I had a lot of shame around having a bipolar illness that I had to manage. And it was, when am I going to share that and open that up? And when is that going to be a deterrent to my dating? So there were all kinds of things like that where I was allowing that to be a barrier from the true connection of my heart that I was so desiring. And so I'm planting seeds for you to think of ways, if in fact you desire to connect with people more, to that you can always be reminded of this oneness that we all are, and you can move forward from there. And so we go from being one with each other, and now I invite us to look at our oneness with God, with our God, with whatever that is. For me, it is the beloved, and I get goosebumps sometimes because of that connection with my God. And so we can always look at ways to fill up with God's love. As we do that, we are able to extend ourselves in connection with others, with other people. Emma Curtis Hopkins says that until we have awareness that all is one, no change will happen. So it's that knowing of our oneness with God. And how can we deepen that? How can we connect with Spirit even more deeply than we do? We can always tap into our spiritual practices. Why don't you shout those out for me? Any spiritual practice. Meditation. Treatment. Services. Journaling. And you can see that all of these would bring you closer to God. And that's why it's a spiritual practice, because that's what we want to do. We also can strengthen our faith, because after we have our spiritual practices and after we look at all of the qualities of God that we want to bring into our experience, then we have to rely on our faith that it's going to happen. We can do our treatment, but we rely on faith to make that happen. And another thing to do is to simply give faith more room in your life. Sometimes we have our spiritual mind treatments that are tight. And I know that there are several practitioners, myself included, that says, I'm treating for this or more. Because Spirit has to have some room. That mysterious way that Spirit works, the mysticism, all of that. So we have to give God a way to do that. We have to give space to do that. And so I close with a poem. So if you could just allow your eyes to close, really focusing on your breathing. And this is a oneness blessing. One smile can lift a spirit. One seed can start a garden. One candle can light a room. One conversation can start a friendship. One step can begin a journey. One choice can change a lifetime. One laugh can lift your sorrow. One act of forgiveness can mend a relationship. One act of compassion can fill your heart. One heart can love many, and that heart is yours. So let's go ahead and stay in that state while we invite And so we come together on this day, asking and knowing that all that is to be revealed is to be revealed. Knowing that the oneness with our Maker, with our beloved, this oneness spills over in knowing that we are one with all beings. And that the connection that we are able to make and willing to make and want to make is simply a connection that is guided and gifted by the presence of God. And the beauty of connection and the joy of connection is a blessing to each of us. And we know that each of us is able to be uplifted and supported and surrounded by love from those that we connect with. And I know that the beloved I call God, it is this very God that is one with absolutely everything, that works in and through us always to create our heart's desire. And so this oneness is something that we step into, that we deepen as we increase our consciousness. We deepen that connection. Grateful, whole, and complete. And so it is. Please stay in this meditation. Deepening the oneness.
the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So why wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said? And right here in this holy silence I find God. I find myself. I find peace.
And from this place of peace that we experience when we go within, I know that each person here is having revealed to them all that they need to know. I know that the grace and the ease that is of God is working in and through each person. And so I know that all is well, that God is good. And so when you are comfortable, simply allow your awareness to come back into the sanctuary, feeling the support of your seat. And as you're ready, open your eyes.